Andrew Anthony Abadi.
Darren Christopher Bohan.
Mark Stephen Carney. Carpio Batista.
Jeremy M.
Friends and family solemnly commemorate loved ones lost on September 11, 2001. Good evening. I'm Paula Gonzalez in for Paula Francis.
And I'm Michael Geeser in for Gary Waddell. Thousands gathered at Ground Zero for several ceremonies, speeches, and memorials today. Then President Bush ended the day's events with an address to the nation tonight. Channel 8 Eyewitness News anchors Gary Waddell and Paula Francis are in New York City. They join us live now from directly above Ground Zero with a wrap-up of the day's events. Gary, Paula?
Well, Polly and Michael, you saw it, you had it there. The day started with a solemn ceremony. It ended with a sense sort of relief, but still resolve.
The president addressed the nation from New York City, and he is spending the night here. He had words of comfort for all Americans.
Serve each other in our country.
Framed by the American flag and the brilliantly lit Statue of Liberty, President Bush spoke words of comfort and resolve.
The loss of so many lives left us to examine our own. Each of us was reminded that we are here only for a time. And these counted days should be filled with things that last and matter. Love for our families, love for our neighbors, and for our country.
Earlier, the president spent almost 2 hours at Ground Zero with the families of the victims. It was supposed to be a simple opportunity for President Bush to present a wreath at the World Trade Center site.
But the president went much further. He offered a reassuring hand, a hug, even an occasional kiss on the cheek to each of the grieving families. The words spoken were not recorded, meant only for those who suffered so much loss.
Of course, many of the victims were rescuers, firefighters, and police officers killed trying to save lives that day 1 year ago. Drums and bagpipes paid tribute with a procession to Ground Zero. After a moment of silence that marked the time the first plane hit the World Trade Center, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani began reading the names of the more than 2,800 people who died here on a day no American will ever forget.
Edelmiro Abad.
It is certainly a day that no American will forget. It's also one that I will look at very differently after being this close and being above Ground Zero for 48 hours now.
It's a sight that certainly differs when you see it in person, the enormity of it. There's a hole where a subway used to be, and it looks tiny from up here, and the enormity of the hole and the enormity of the event are staggering. As Gary mentioned, more than 2,800 people died here, and half of them have not been recovered or their remains identified in any way.
That's about it from here. Back to you guys.
Gary, Paula, what's going to happen to that circle now?
Oh, we can show you. Take a look. You can see the mark on the concrete down there, but there is no circle left. The workers came in this evening and removed the flowers and took all the paint, the memorabilia, and put it away and moved the circle itself away, because this is a construction site, and tomorrow morning construction resumes right here at Ground Zero.
It's unclear exactly what sort of memorial will go up here, but the construction will continue.
All right, Gary, Paula, we'll check back with you a little later. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Well, ceremonies and services also took place today at the Pentagon.
Channel 8 I-Team reporter George Knapp was there and joins us now live from Washington, D.C. George.
Michael and Polly, we're coming to you one more time from the Pentagon here. Earlier, thousands of people were here in this area. They've all gone home, long gone. It's after 2 o'clock here. The only folks left, a couple of reporters and a handful of photographers as well. We've heard a lot of stuff about the Pentagon, facts and figures over the last couple of days. One little odd bit of trivia, not widely known, left over that perhaps you haven't heard. Construction of the Pentagon began back in 1941. The day the construction began was September 11th. It took 16 months to build the whole darn thing back then, all 6.5 million square feet. Took 11 months to rebuild it after the attacks of 9/11 last year. Memories of that terrible day will linger forever for those, including the Nevadans who were here last year and this year.
I failed to tell you that when we were ordered out of S-208, as we left, look out one of those windows, you could see the smoke billowing from the Pentagon. We knew it was Pentagon. We know where the Pentagon is located.
Nevada Senator Harry Reid was already in the process of being evacuated from the Capitol when the Pentagon was hit. As part of Senate leadership, Reid was evacuated to a classified location as the second plane crashed in New York. He recalls the surreal experience.
We're told we have to, we're leaving. People are moving us. And I can remember one of the real surreal parts of my life is being brought by car to the west front of the Capitol where the helicopters were there, where the helicopter was there. And getting out of the car, and there were, I don't know where they came from in such a short period of time, but scores of people in black uniforms with their guns at ready on the west front of the Capitol. And they put us in the helicopter and off we went to this classified location.
Along with other Americans, Reid grieves for the lives lost in New York and at the Pentagon, but he thinks most often about the passengers who died in Pennsylvania. That plane was bound for the Capitol, his office.
I think we all look to the people in Pennsylvania who took that plane down, in effect, each one of them knowing that would be their death. But for me, it's really a special act of heroism because it saved my life, more than likely, and all my staff here in the Capitol, and the untold numbers of other people who were here.
NELA Sergeant Kim Walters wasn't sure she could handle a return to the Pentagon where she was working 9/11 last year, but she was happy to make the trip, seeing the rebuilding effort.
It's back in shape. People are moving. People are smiling today, and that's good.
Find it amazing they're able to do this in such a short period of time?
No, we're America.
United Blood Services of Las Vegas presented its Chain of Life to the U.S. Air Force, each ring representing a blood donation. UBS hopes Nevadans will remember what it felt like last year and that they'll donate again. And Las Vegas high school teacher Shannon Daigle found the name of her best friend, Barbara Edwards, on a monument at the impact site.
I wasn't going to come. I had really mixed feelings about coming, basically because I knew how emotional it would be. I think I'm glad I came for a little bit of closure.
You know, it's really been an unbelievable, unforgettable experience to be here at the Pentagon this week, to hear the stories of the families of the Nevadans who were here and who've suffered losses and who knew that this day, this remembrance, this observance was coming and was necessary, who obviously will never forget the lessons of this tragedy, but maybe can leave here with a sense that now, at last, it's time to move on. Reporting live from the Pentagon, George Knapp, Channel 8 Eyewitness News.
All right, George, thanks.
Hundreds who risked their lives trying to save others spent tonight remembering the men and women who perished 1 year ago. Metro Police and other emergency crews gathered tonight at Police Memorial Park for a candlelight vigil. The ceremony was held to honor the memory of emergency services personnel who lost their lives on September 11th.
Just to try to look back and make sure we don't fall back to where we were. You know, we need to stay strong.
To honor the people that passed and to honor the people that support us every day and keep us protected.
Sheriff Jerry Keller and Las Vegas entertainer Clint Holmes were at tonight's ceremony.
Clark County firefighters who had to work today participated in remembering September 11th in each of their station houses. Bells rang out over department radios this morning at the same time the South Tower collapsed a year ago. The names of all 343 New York City firefighters who died at the World Trade Center were also read over the radios before a moment of silence. The firefighters were asked to not to shroud their badges, because this ceremony was meant to be a remembrance, not a memorial.
A valiant rescue effort will always be remembered.
School held a special ceremony this morning to honor September 11th heroes and victims. Students also unveiled 20-foot murals during the ceremony. It shows 5 different paintings of September 11th events, including the New York City skyline and World Trade Center on fire. The mural also represents American patriotism, with people waving American flags and 3 firefighters raising a U.S. flag.
All across the valley tonight, many people turned to their God for help, not only to deal with the hurt they still feel, they wanted to pay homage to the lives of those lost. Eyewitness News reporter Renata Troiani attended 2 of those services. She joins us with more. Renata.
Well, Paula, we spent time at a service of remembrance at a Christian church. We also attended a Muslim service, but tonight they all remembered with one thing in common. They remembered as Americans.
With only the steady tolling of a bell, one by one, worshipers at Christ the King Catholic Church spread the light of remembrance.
Thinking of all the people who have lost, you know, family, friends, fathers, mothers, and children. And that's why we're here, to pray for everybody.
They are turning to God for help, just like so many did a year ago today.
Just being with other people, the fellowship of others, really helps to, I think, calm people down and know that we're all in this together, but we'll all get out of this together.
Makes me angry.
Millie Drucker is looking for healing. She almost lost her son-in-law. He was in the World Trade Center on this day 1 year ago.
I try to have some compassion if I'm in there for other people, the people that did this, but it's very hard. It's sad.
Across town at the Islamic Society of Nevada, Muslims were also remembering.
Today is just a second reminder to myself that we humans are interconnected.
Despite the fact that they follow the same religion as Osama bin Laden, they grieve for the wrong that's been done.
We felt the pain and we felt the suffering just like everybody else. And as a Muslim community, we felt it twice. We first felt it as Americans, and then second, we felt it as Muslims.
Most of all, they're hoping for the future.
I would feel that, you know, to pray that nothing like this happens again and to protect us and guide us all on the straight path.
This night, religion didn't matter. All had a common ground. They are Americans.
The Muslims I spoke with tonight say although there was some animosity, misunderstandings, and even threats against them a year ago, for the most part, Americans have accepted them for who they are as a majority, a compassionate, caring group of people. Michael?
Renata, thanks. As the nation remembered and reflected on the tragic events of September 11th, a Northwest Airlines plane headed for Las Vegas was being diverted as a safety precaution. The plane was diverted after 3 passengers locked themselves in an onboard restroom and refused to come out. Channel 8 Eyewitness News is live with Carol Wilkinson. She joins us from McCann with the latest. Carol?
Well, Michael, Northwest Airlines pilots were taking no chances this morning on that flight when it took an unusual turn. As you mentioned, it was headed from Tennessee to Las Vegas. The flight was diverted to Fort Smith, Arkansas, in a measure that Northwest Airlines officials describe as a safety precaution. With the nation's terror alert warning at code orange, its second highest level, Northwest Airlines pilots made the decision not to land Flight 979 in Las Vegas.
And all of a sudden the plane started to descend. The captain came on the overhead and said that we were making an emergency descent into Arkansas.
According to airline officials at Northwest, 4 passengers were behaving, quote, suspiciously, including 3 who locked themselves in a restroom on the plane.
My first thought was, uh-oh, something. So something was up. And
passengers reported that the 3 were shaving themselves clean. That latest bit of information is reminiscent of documents reportedly found in the luggage of one of the September 11th hijackers, in which there appeared to be instructions for the suicide hijackers to shave the extra hair from the body and pray. Although federal officials say the incident is not believed to be related to terrorism, those passengers who arrived in Las Vegas safely say they agree that the pilots made the right decision.
I thought anybody would have to be crazy to pull anything today, and I guess it has proven that there are a lot of crazy people out there.
No fighter jets were launched to accompany the aircraft, but once it landed, investigators say the 3 men were taken off the airplane to an undisclosed location. Now, no other aircraft in this area was affected by the diversion of that Northwest Airlines flight. And meanwhile, investigators tell us that the men who appear to be of Middle Eastern descent were taken into custody by the FBI in Arkansas. Carol Wilkinson, Channel 8 Eyewitness News, live.
Carol, thanks.
A Las Vegas woman has been blessed twice with babies born on September 11th. Shamika Turner gave birth today to Kenyon at 11:16 this morning. Coincidentally, Turner gave birth last year on the same day to a son named Albert. The young mother says she was surprised last September 11th when she went into labor, but it gave her a chance to find happiness out of sadness and evil.
I was surprised I had him on that day, but I thought of it as, you know, something, at least it was good coming out of this one.
Shamika Turner says she will teach her sons about the history of September 11th, the day they will celebrate their birthdays.
A welcome sight throughout the valley on this solemn day, rain. Rain and high winds hit the valley this afternoon. No serious flooding or damage was reported, and the storm passed quickly. But in the aftermath, an uplifting sight in the sky, a colorful rainbow.
We didn't have to go very far to get those pictures, did we?
No, but you know, it's just like I always say, it rains so seldom here that whenever it does, we all grab the camera.
And document it.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be another 3 or 4 months before we see it again. And how about that rainbow? What a shot late this afternoon, especially from the west side of town as you look back toward the Las Vegas Strip. Very vivid. In fact, it was a double rainbow if you look at the right side of your screen as well. And this could almost be a commercial for a casino, that the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is right there on the Strip. Beautiful pictures today as the showers moved on through. Let me show you the latest shower that pushed through late this afternoon. Time-lapse photography. Here it comes down from Mount Charleston with a few lightning strikes as well, and boom, there's the water moving across town. Real-time neighborhood weather now. We'll start near Jones and Smoke Ranch. It's 6 degrees and 67% relative humidity. They had 1/10 of an inch of rain up there. Near Sahara and I-15, it's still reading 83. It's 71 near Eastern and the St. Rose Parkway. And one more stop will take us to Fort Apache. And I'm having a tough time believing that 83. Fort Apache and Ann Road up in the northwest, they are at 70 degrees. How about the rainfall? Over 1/3 of an inch up near Cary and Hollywood. Go towards Summerlin. They had 1/4 of an inch. This was from this afternoon. This was from the showers that went through about 4 o'clock in the morning. Outside the valley, rainfall particularly heavy as you went northeast up into Lincoln County. Caliente with 4/10 of an inch of rain. Mesquite was close to that. Up in Bryan Head, Utah, over 2/3 of an inch of rain. Current temperatures all in the 70s. In fact, we're beginning to see some 60s across town. It's 70 near DI and the Beltway, also up near Camino, El Dorado, and Ann Road. 45 on the mountain, 64 in Alamo. Lake Mead still at 83 degrees. And the highs today, as warm as 92 up in the northeast part of town. Go westward across the valley and southward, and you see some highs at only 85. Outside of town, 64 to 108 was the range. At McCann, the top temperature was 84, a dozen below normal. 70 was the morning low. And today's rainfall at McCann was 1/4 of an inch, putting the yearly total up to just under an inch. But normally, by this time, September 11th, we've already had 3 1/3 inches of rain. Doppler radar showing the showers finally tapering off after they've pushed on through. This morning, the storms were moving from the south to the north, and so was the lightning. Quite a few strikes in the pre-dawn hours. Then this afternoon, the lightning was coming down from the northwest, off the mountain to the northwestern part of the Las Vegas Valley. The system will continue to lift out to the northeast. There could actually be a couple of showers up toward Lincoln County, maybe even Mesquite tomorrow from this point northeastward, but not in town. We're not expecting anything else. The next system is way out here. You can see the area of low pressure forming. There'll be some pretty good breezes in advance of it and behind it as it moves on through, but this won't be until Sunday. So here comes your forecast for tonight. We'll stay clear. Look for a low temperature, 66 degrees. Man, oh man, it's almost worth opening up the window tonight. Tomorrow with plenty of sunshine, back up to 95 degrees, possibly a stray cloud out there. And a look ahead at your 7-day forecast. Mid to upper 90s as we head toward the weekend. Next system rolls in with a couple of clouds and some breezes that might knock the temperature back down to the lower 90s. But we're rejoicing after what we've had 2 rain events so far in September.
And both are documented.
Exactly. We've got pictures, folks. We've got pictures.
All right, Kevin. Thanks.
Sure.
Dave's here. Got sports.
Finally delivered the goods down there, didn't it? Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We need to make a mention of that. It wasn't another emotional night at Yankee Stadium. We'll show you what happened there. We'll look back at this from last fall, where for a moment baseball helped deliver a reprieve from all the grief, and the NFL loses one of its legends. Details are coming up here on Channel 8. Johnny Unitas never got the television exposure or the big money that today's NFL quarterbacks get, but he'll forever be remembered as among the very best, if not the best, ever to play the game. Unitas died today of a heart attack in Baltimore. He was 69 years old. Unitas was the first to throw for 40,000 yards in his career, and he held 22 NFL records when he retired in 1973. And how about this? He had a stretch of 47 straight games where he threw a touchdown pass in each one of them. None of today's hotshot quarterbacks have come close to that. Major League Baseball helped bring a small reprieve after 9/11 with a World Series that included the New York Yankees last year. Game 3 in the Bronx even brought out the president for a very emotional showing of national toughness, togetherness, and resolve. It was kind of a pep rally.
Mr. President.
That was then. Let's show you the scene at Yankee Stadium tonight. New York's game with Baltimore was stopped at exactly 9 minutes after 11, and players and fans paid their respects to the day. The game went into the 11th inning, where New York capped the emotional day with this play. Nick Johnson, runner at third, game-winning single, and the Yankees survive 5-4. On the board, Boston beat Tampa Bay 6-3. Anaheim over Oakland 6-5. That's been a fun series to watch. Texas beat Seattle. Mariners are slipping fast. Toronto over Cleveland in 11. Minnesota beat Detroit, and Kansas City 3 runs better than the White Sox. In San Francisco, Giants and Dodgers. Fans paying their respects for the day, and they also took in a pretty good ball game. 5th inning, LA's Brian Jordan hits a 3-run home run, leading the Dodgers to a 7-3 victory. LA pulls back into a tie with the Giants in the wild card race. The teams meet again Monday in Los Angeles. Arizona continues to win 6-5 over San Diego. St. Louis and Colorado both win on the road. Pittsburgh beats Cincinnati. The Cubbies, 3 runs better than Montreal. Philadelphia beat Florida, and the Mets and Braves split a doubleheader. Lakers center Shaquille O'Neal is on the mend tonight after having bone chips removed from the big toe on his right foot, which is about the size of my entire right foot. Shaq has arthritis in the toe, and the bone spurs caused him severe pain last season. His doctor says the big fella will have a complete recovery. He can walk right away so long as he wears a surgical shoe that keeps his foot dry. He'll be on an exercise bike in a couple of weeks, but O'Neal is doubtful for the Lakers' season opener on October 29th. Sacramento Kings star Chris Webber was in Detroit today, where he pled innocent to charges of obstructing justice and lying to a grand jury. The case stems from an investigation into a former Michigan booster who testified that he gave Webber $280,000 during his high school and college careers. The Detroit Pistons and Washington Wizards made a player swap today. Detroit sends Jerry Stackhouse to Washington. In return, the Wizards send Richard Hamilton to the Pistons. Probably won't mean much to either fine club, but that's what they've done today.
Thanks, Dave.
Welcome.
Coming up, a final live look at Ground Zero with Paula Francis and Gary Waddell.
And back home this September 11th, the Strip looked like this tonight. Hundreds of motorcyclists participated in a procession up the Strip. Riders say it's their way of paying tribute to the victims of the terror attacks. Strip resorts also mark September 11th by displaying patriotic messages on their marquees. We'll be right back.
These are the people of Channel 8 Eyewitness News. This is the most experienced news team in Southern Nevada. With Kevin Janison and Channel 8 Neighborhood Weather. Live current conditions from weather stations across the valley and beyond. Part of the most reliable and accurate weather forecasting in the area. Commitment, trust, experience. Channel 8 Eyewitness News, the news leader.
This portion of Eyewitness News is brought to you by Valley Auto Mall.
Well, a long and emotional day across the country is finally at an end.
To wrap up our September 11th anniversary coverage, we go once again to Channel 8 Eyewitness News anchors Gary Waddell and Paula Francis at Ground Zero.
Thanks.
Michael and Polly, thank you very much. It's been quite a day here.
It certainly has. Of course, here on the East Coast, we're 2 hours into September 12th, and for that, I'm sure a lot of people are grateful. I think what I'll remember from this is that for one day, September 11th, 2002, tens of thousands of people came together in the blocks around the World Trade Center site, all with a common goal, and most of us with a common feeling.
The other thing is that just the immenseness of all of this, the immenseness of the tragedy, the immenseness of the World Trade Center site behind us, it is something that is just not represented. I mean, I wish we could show it to you better than we are, because it is something that you almost have to be here to believe. And to talk to the New York people and to hear their stories and just to read the accounts of the people who lost loved ones in this disaster a year ago, it breaks your heart, and it is something that, you know, you just almost can't get from a long distance.
And they've been very warm to the visitors.
They have. It's been wonderful here. Back to you guys.
We want to thank you guys for the images that you brought us as well.
That's right. You guys have done such a great job in covering what's going on and giving us a picture of it, but I have to ask you, Paul and Gary, it's 2:33 in the morning back there. What's for breakfast?
Well, we had some warning that you were going to ask, so I've prepared my answer. Since the last 3 meals have all been Atkins low-carb bars, that's probably what I'll have, but I'd rather have an apple. Get it?
Well, stay away from the hot dogs on the corner.
I get it. Yeah, I think everything has closed from, as near as we can tell, there isn't food within 40 blocks of here in any given direction. This town closes. We should do these late nights in Las Vegas. Right?
It's the city that never sleeps.
It's sleeping now.
It may be awake, but it's not cooking.
Let's say good night, Gary and Paula.
Good night. We'll see you back home.
And that's it for us here. Thanks for joining us, everyone.